I'm Aone. Welcome to my channel. First, we're going to start off with the beginner tips, and then as we progress through the video, I'm going to share more advanced and pro tips. And hopefully by the time you finish this video, you will be a pro in LEGO Expeditions. Like always, if you learned anything new, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And if you want to support the channel, use creator code A1. Anyways, for the first tip, I wanted to point out that you can find where your next objective is by simply looking at the compass on the top of your screen. Technically, you could also find it by pulling up your map, but doing it that way is dangerous because it makes you vulnerable to any enemies that are nearby. So instead, I would just recommend that you use the compass at the top of your screen. If your teammates go down, you can pick them up and throw them to a safer location to revive them. When it comes to getting a lot of XP quickly, the best way is to get a lot of kills, because each time you get a kill, they'll drop a star, and these little stars are what gives you XP. So getting a lot of kills can help you level up fast. Also, opening chests will give you stars, and reviving citizens will also give you stars and XP. So you'll want to do all three of those things if you want to level up quickly. Also, if you ever get a Spire or a Titan on the bridge, you can shoot them from below the bridge. I suppose this tip could be useful for those just starting out. It's not really necessary though if you have your perks maxed out and if you have good weapons. But if you're struggling to kill the Spire, you can shoot them from underneath the bridge. Another cheesy way you can kill the Titan is by leading him to water and making him charge into the water. And the way you do that is by standing in between him and the water. And once he does his charge attack, he'll run into the water. And if he goes too deep into the water, he'll die automatically. I'll show a few other ways to kill these bosses quickly. Just wanted to show that taking them out that way is possible as well. The missions in LEGO Expeditions will only last 40 minutes. Once you reach the 40-minute mark, the mission will fail. You'll see the timer in the top right of your screen during the mission, so you'll want to keep that in mind. Legendary weapons do exist, like ones that you can keep, as well as epic weapons. At the moment, the chances of getting them are really low, but there's a few different ways you can get them. You can get them from chests, and I believe the white chests give you a better chance of getting a higher rarity weapon. You can also get them from the chest you see after you defeat a boss. One way people have been getting them is by completing a quest called Expiration. And that's the quest where you have to deal the final blow on a spire. When you complete that quest, you'll receive a white chest that gives you at least a rare weapon. And if you're lucky, it can give you an epic or even a legendary weapon. I believe you can also get permanent epic and legendary weapons from the chest you receive after you kill the boss. Sometimes enemies will drop epic and legendary weapons, but usually those are unstable. And if you look at the perks, if one of the perks says it's unstable, that means it's going to disappear from your inventory once the mission is over. If you ever do get an unstable legendary weapon, I would recommend that you recycle it right before the mission ends, because you'll get 40 essence from it. And you'll want to pick up all the weapons you see and recycle them, because each of them give you essence, but legendary weapons give you the most essence. Here's a couple of screenshots showing what those epic and legendary weapons look like, the ones that you can keep. So it is possible to get epic and legendary weapons. I've yet to see anybody get them from the vendor. As of right now, I don't believe there's any blue charms in the game. I haven't seen anybody get them. So as of right now, when it comes to charms, uncommon is going to be the best rarity you can get. Now here are the perks that I have on my two weapons, and the reason I chose to use these perks is because I wanted to increase my ability damage as much as possible, and I also wanted to use my abilities as often as possible. So on my pistols, I have 50% ability damage, 30% crit chance, and whenever we crit with our pistol, it'll reduce our ultimate cooldown. And on my dual daggers, I have crit chance, ability damage, and whenever we crit, it reduces our basic ability cooldowns. And I'm not going to say these are the best perks, but they're really good if you plan on dealing most of your damage with your abilities. Speaking of weapons, I want to show you what each of the weapons do. When it comes to plasma pistols, there's a knockback AoE. If you jump and then use your secondary, it'll push you back, but it'll also deal AoE damage to any enemy that's directly in front of you. It's useful when it comes to getting out of trouble. If you sprint and then press the fire button, you'll do this little spin attack with your plasma pistols. And last thing I want to point out with pistols is that you can equip two of them and cycle back and forth between them. So you know how there's sort of a cooldown once you shoot so many bullets. Once that cooldown starts, go ahead and switch to your other pistol. Go ahead and use all the bullets for that. And if you aim down sights, you'll shoot faster. And then once that one begins to cool down, you can switch back to your original. And that's a really good way to deal a lot of damage quickly. When it comes to dual daggers, you have the regular attack. And here's what the secondary attack looks like when you just press it. When you hold down the secondary attack and then press your primary attack, it'll do this spin animation, which deals damage in every direction. And this spin attack is really useful when it comes to destroying masks, and it's also really useful when it comes to rescuing civilians. And there's also a jump attack, so if you jump and press your primary attack, you'll do this attack right here. And this attack crits almost every single time I do it, which is useful to know because like I showed earlier, since I have the perk on my daggers that reduce the cooldown every time it crits, all I have to do is this jump attack and it reduces my ability cooldown. You can only get that to trigger once every 5 seconds, so I'll do the jump attack usually once every 5 seconds or so. And as you can tell in this example, it dropped from 36 down to 26 by using my jump attack. And then you'll have to wait 5 seconds before you can reduce your cooldown again. But once that 5 seconds is up, you can do another jump attack. And this time it reduced my cooldown from 20 down to 12. So the jump attack is really useful with our current setup if you want to crit and reduce the cooldown of your abilities. Now when it comes to the Spire, obviously you want to shoot the crystals whenever they come down in order to deal damage to the Spire. You can also deal damage to them by shooting the skull whenever it lasers. So those are the two ways you damage the Spire. When it comes to the different Spire attacks, if he ends up lasering you, then your best bet is to either dodge or hide behind a building. If you're flying in the air, you can ascend or descend to avoid the lasers. When he throws the skulls at you, you can either hide behind a building or you can shoot the skulls before they get to you. And when it comes to this red wave attack, this can also deal damage to you. There's a few different ways you can avoid it. You can either jump over it, and you can do that with any hero. If you're playing as a Rift Ripper, you can teleport through it without taking any damage. If you're playing as a Shadow Caller, you can fly above it. And if you're playing as a Hunter, you can use your jump pad to jump over it. Or you can use your grappler or just jump over it the regular way. So that's how you avoid the red wave attack. I also want to show some more advanced pro tips. So when it comes to Shadow Caller, whenever you go into Shadow Flight and do it the normal way, this is how fast you go and this is how far you'll go. As you can see, it ended about right here. But there is a way you can fly faster and further, and that's by double jumping before you go into Shadow Flight. And then I believe you'll have to press the sprint button and then go into Shadow Flight, and you should fly faster and you'll also fly further, as you can see in this example. And not only that, when your Shadow Flight ends, you'll stay suspended in the air, and once your Shadow Flight finishes cooling down, you can continue flying. Here's a good example of when you might want to use that, like when you want to cross the river, for example, in the busted bridge zone. If you do it the normal way, usually you'll fall into the water, then you'll have to wait till your cooldown finishes, and then you'll have to do the Shadow Flight again. But if you double jump before you go, you should be able to fly all the way across the water. And again, you'll stay in the air, which is going to allow you to fly again without falling once. Another really good way to kill bosses really quickly with the Shadow Caller is by unlocking this ability right here. It costs 4 points and it increases the fire rate of the little red orbs that you throw. So here's what that ability looks like without having that perk unlocked. It does deal a decent amount of damage, but you can't really throw that many of them. But once you unlock this ability, like I said, it's going to increase your fire rate, which is going to allow you to throw a lot more. And this is the ability I use when it comes to killing core. Usually what I'll do is I'll fill up my red meter, and then I'll use this ability and throw all the red orbs that I can at core. And usually it takes up to like half of her health away. And then once the red meter runs out, I'll use this ability to fill it back up. And once it's full, I'll double jump and start throwing more of the red orbs at her. And if you hit all your shots, you should be able to kill core by yourself within 2 of these abilities, if you have enough ability damage. I also use this ability when it comes to Titans. So like I showed earlier, you could lead a Titan into water and kill him that way, but it's a lot quicker if you kill him this way, because you'll notice that we deal up to 10,000 damage, sometimes up to 11,000 by just using this ability once, And like I said earlier, you can refill your red meter right away by using this ability. Once it's full, you'll double jump, throw more red orbs, and you can pretty much take almost all of his health away with just 2 of those abilities that throw the red orbs. So that's how I prefer to take out the Titan as well as Core while playing as the Shadow Caller. Now when it comes to the Spire, I do use a different method. And before I show the Spire fight, I want to explain how it works. You can use your ultimate ability as Shadow Caller twice before the cooldown starts. And the way you do it is by first using your ultimate ability. And before the red bar at the bottom left, before that runs out, you'll want to use this ability to build up your red meter. And once that's built up, you should be able to use your ultimate ability again. So that's one way you can extend the use of your ultimate while playing as Shadow Caller. There's also a way you can use your ultimate ability throughout the entire Spire boss fight. If you only use your ultimate on the crystals, you'll notice that it fills up your red meter every time your ultimate hits the crystal, which allows you to continue to use it. Just make sure you don't waste it on any of the enemies. And as long as you keep hitting the crystals, you can continue to use it. As you can see in this example, we pretty much had our ultimate up throughout the entire Spire boss fight. Now, while they're lasering, obviously you'll want to avoid getting hit by the laser, but you can also aim where the laser comes from. Hitting that with your ultimate will also fill up your red meter. And if for any reason your red meter's about to run out, all you have to do is use this ability to fill it back up. And once it's full, you can continue using your ultimate. And that's how I was able to keep my ultimate up throughout the entire Spire boss fight. It's also a really good way to kill the Spire because it deals a lot of damage if you have a lot of ability damage on your weapons and your charms, which I do. So those are some of the tips I have when it comes to Shadow Caller. When it comes to Rift Ripper, you're pretty much invincible whenever you teleport. So whether it's a red wave of damage or a laser attack or anything like that, you can just teleport and you won't take any damage. You can teleport further if you sprint before you teleport. That'll increase the distance that you teleport. Like I showed earlier, you can reduce the cooldowns for her abilities by using certain perks on your weapons. I haven't really played the Hunter that much, but you'll want to spam your boomerang as often as possible so you and your teammates can deal more damage. You'll want to spam your traps around the enemies as often as possible. Use the grapple to get around the map quicker. And your ultimate can also deal a lot of damage to a lot of enemies, so if you ever get surrounded, you can use your ultimate ability. But yeah, I've only played Hunter a few times, so I don't really have a whole lot of tips when it comes to Hunter. But that sums up all the tips we have for this one. If you have any good tips that I didn't mention, let us know in the comments. If you found this video useful, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to support the channel, use creator code A1. Anyways, I hope you found the video useful, and thanks for watching. But it's some stuff I won't let her do. If I get to shooting this RPG, I need props like a stepper. Let's do it. They tried to get me with spike traps, they know I'm like that, smooth like a criminal. If they try to bite, I'ma bite back, man. I just swipe that, I need residuals.